welcome back to my channel. This week we're continuing work on the bathroom and we're doing something important. We're adding a door. Seems like it's kind of needed for a bathroom. So I'm going to show you how it looks right now because there's no door on it. You'll also notice we have a cabinet next to the bathroom and there's no door on that. And that's because when we put on the trim, it's too wide for the door to go on. And then at the very bottom, we need like a little transition piece to go from the hall to the bathroom. So that's all happening this week, hopefully. So the first thing we need to do is take a step backwards and tear off the trim that we put on. We've done all the finish work, all the caulking, the painting, the wood filler, but because it's too wide for that cabinet door to go on, we have to take it off. So we are just using, I mean my husband, he's the one that's good at demo. I do like the finish work. We have a nice, I do this thing, he does that thing. Great. So he's taking that off with some pry bars. He's being very careful because I don't want to damage the wallpaper that's underneath because I love it. So after the trim is off, we can put the cabinet door back on, and it's been off for ages. So it's really nice to see that go back on. And next, my husband's just going to sand down the frame to hopefully make it a little bit skinnier so that the trim can go on and work with the cabinet. So for the door, I have a really fun plan. This is a small hallway, so I thought to save space, we could do double or French doors. So I knew that plan and we went to an architectural salvage store, the only one in Utah. It's in Salt Lake City, and we started looking for doors, and it's a little bit like a hoarder's house here. The guy, bless his heart, he wants to save everything, but it's just like so full, you really have to kind of dig. So we found what turned out to be side lights from like an old fancy door, and the sizing is good. I think we're gonna have to cut it down a little bit, but bigger is better than too small. So my husband has already taken them out of the frame. Now we can work on resizing them so they fit as bathroom doors. We brought our future French doors in, and they look so good next to the bathroom. I honestly don't mind the glass because seeing in is really fun, but obviously I'm going to have to fix that because you can't have a bathroom door with glass. That doesn't work. I can either do like a film on it or I can do curtains. One side of the door is wood, the other side is painted. So we need to kind of decide like if we're going to paint both sides, if we're going to leave one side wood. I'm not sure at this point. So once we saw the sizing, we brought them outside and cut them down. And my husband has like a big miter saw that slides, and so that was good enough because each one's like 14 inches wide. They're kind of little. So that's nice that that worked because it was pretty easy, and that's the only alterations we had to do was cut each side down. And then my husband got to work sanding them. They're a little bit beat up, and also before we paint or stain, it's good to kind of at least have a rough finish on them. Okay, so for my projects, I usually think about them ahead of time and overthink about them and have everything ready I possibly need. This is not the case with this project. I don't know why, it kind of snuck up on me. So I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know what color to paint these doors. Here's what I'm thinking. The hallway that the door will be in, there's another pink door. My whole first floor, every door is pink. So I'm thinking the outside should be pink, easy solution. These doors are white on one side already and wood on the other side. It kind of hurts me to paint over the wood because it's really beautiful. So even though I believe it will be more work, I'm going to try to sand out the curved areas where my husband didn't get yesterday and, you know, keep the wood. So I think that'll be good. So that's my plan for color. So we're working on that first. The first thing we're doing with the doors is fixing them up. So there was a part where some of the wood came off. These are used doors that have been in someone's house. So that means there's like holes to fill. That's okay. That's like, I knew when I signed up for this, I like saving stuff from the landfill, even if it is a little more work. So for the painted side, I'm going to paint the white a pink. And I have two options for around the window. I could tape it off, or I could use this liquid masking H2O product. I can link it below. And what it does is you paint it on nice and thick and you do a few coats, and it's okay if it gets on the mullions or like the sashes of the windows. It'll kind of act like a primer. And then you do 2 coats of it. So you do the first one, wait an hour, do the second one. And again, you put it on nice and thick because you're trying to create a barrier. And then later we're gonna paint. I'm gonna do 2 coats of paint. And then I'm gonna use a razor blade to remove the liquid masking. And it just comes up super fast. So it's gonna be like 5 minutes to pull it up when taping can take a long time. For the wood side of the door, I need to sand them down because I did a bunch of wood filler to fill in like cracks and gaps and like fix some issues. Now I know these will always look rustic, but I definitely want them to be nice and smooth, so I'm cleaning that up. Little hands will be touching this. I don't want splinters if possible. Then after the sanding, some of the wood filler looks so light compared to the wood, so I went in my basement and I found the wood stain that was closest, and I just used a tiny bit of stain on top of the lightest areas to just kind of help them blend a little bit. And then while I was in my basement, I saw, oh, I have like this nice wax finish. And so it's just like a matte finish. And I didn't want to leave the wood totally like unprotected, naked, nothing on it. Now I just have to let it dry. And with the wood, what I decided was the areas that were like super detailed that still have the stain on them, I didn't remove it. And when I had the doors sitting upright in the bathroom, I was like, it kind of just like highlights the nice parts of it. And so it would take me hours and hours and it would be so painful, and I don't hate it. So let's leave it. Saved me a ton of time. I'm very happy with that decision. Okay, for the doors, I need to add on curtains or like a window film so you can't see through it because it's a bathroom. You need privacy. So I decided I want to go the curtain route. I have some thrifted vintage Schumacher fabric. I got it for $3. It's tulips, it's beautiful. And at first I was seeing this, but I need something that'll look good with the hall wallpaper and the bathroom wallpaper because this is going to be double-sided curtain, so it's as thick as possible. So instead I just went to Joann and I bought $14 worth of drapery fabric they had on clearance. And I like it because it's just like really neutral, white with some texture, great. To make the curtains, I'm cutting 4 rectangles. They are each like 15 inches wide by 40 inches tall, and I do wish I had made them taller. My windows are 38 inches tall, and if I would have made my panels like 46 inches tall, 48 inches tall, probably 46 inches tall, I could have just sewn the rectangle and folded it over to create the pull pocket on the top and the bottom. I made it more complicated, so don't do that. Iron the fabric so it's nice and flat. Technically you should do this first, but I like to iron smaller pieces because I'm kind of lazy. The right sides of the fabric together and sew all the way around. Leave a little bit of an opening so you can turn it right side out and then iron that flat. And this is when you would turn over the ends and make pull pockets, but instead what I did was I cut some strips 15 inches wide by 3 inches long, and then I ironed over the ends, sewed the ends, and then I ironed over the long parts, and I sewed that on to create the pull pockets. I did that for both curtain panels. It's super simple. It does take a little bit of time. Okay, now it's time to start installing the hardware. And at first when I started this, I was like, I have no idea what to use. I couldn't find a clear guide. So here's what worked for me. Number one, you've got to start with hinges. This is what's going to connect your door to your door frame. We bought 4, 2 for each door. And the tricky thing is that you really need to get it very precise. So it needs to be level so that when they swing open, they don't, like if it's not level, they'll either fall open or stay closed. You don't want that. You want to be able to put the doors where you want it and it stays. And you also need it to be plumb so that they don't hit each other in the middle. So it's a lot to consider. So what we did was we put our hinges on the door, we put the hinges on the frame, and we saw how it was swinging. We used a big level we have, and we saw, you know, the top goes out a little bit. So on the top hinges, my husband took those off, and because that was sticking out too far, he used a router to recess the hinge into the wood on the door and the wood on the frame, and that fixed it so it was nice and level. So that's good. Another issue we had was that when we opened and closed it, it was making a squeaking noise, and that's because the hinge was hitting the door trim. So again, he took off the hinge, and right where it was hitting, he used a Dremel to kind of cut that away so that it doesn't hit. And then we repeated it for the next side, and hinges are a little bit of a tricky step with this. This is not super easy, but it is figure outable. One tool we used to make this a little bit easier was an air shim, and this is a little thing that you pump up, and so it pushes the door up, and so you don't have to hold it up the perfect amount. Okay, we're also installing doorknobs, and we decided to go with dummy doorknobs, and what that means is that they don't turn, and normal doors, when you turn them, there's a part that comes out that like pushes out, but if you did 2 of those, they would push together, so that doesn't work. So we just did the dummy doorknobs. We did 2 on the front and 2 on the back. Okay, next is the moment I've been waiting for. We get to attach the curtains to the door, and we are using these rods called swivel sash curtain rods. Next, we're putting on a sliding lock, and this is a lock to lock the door because this is a bathroom. And if this wasn't a bathroom I was sharing with a child, I would have put a lock in the top because that would have been better. This sliding lock works pretty good, but it also hits a little bit when you open the door. Since we're doing double doors in this bathroom, we need a piece of stop trim between the doors. The doors have a little bit of a gap, and that's actually important because if they were touching flush, they wouldn't be able to angle out and open up. So this little piece of flat rectangle trim, it just goes between the two doors, and this will help with privacy, will help with sound, and we'll paint it, but all we are doing is nailing it on so that we can have that privacy we need. We are also going to put on a ball catch latch. So this is something that you add between the doors, and it's a ball on one side and an opening on the other, so when you close the door, it stays closed. To attach this, it's a little bit annoying because you do need to like recess it into the door, so you need a drill, a Dremel, and you screw it on so it connects. Ball catch latch. The door closes.
Fairly stiff close, not too much.
Fancy. We need to add some trim to the frame to stop the door. So we're going to use a miter saw to cut this. It's like really simple casing. And then all you do is you use a nail to attach it. And what it does is it makes it so that when the doors close, they don't go past where they need to close. So it kind of just has an area where it stops. And if you've ever had a door without it, which I have, they kind of just like wiggle. So it's important for it to have a place to stop. And the last thing we're adding is a threshold. So in the front of our door, there's just like a little bit of a difference. We don't have anything. So we used to have a piece of wood here, and we're using the same piece. It's getting altered a little bit, but it's being attached so that we don't have like this little negative dead space, which is, you know, important. To finish up the doors, we did a bunch of finish work, which honestly always takes longer than I expect it will. You know, filling holes, sanding down the wood filler, caulking, painting over that, and just making sure everything is just like finished up and looking amazing. But now that it is, I am ready to show you the reveal. So I am super pumped about the French doors. Honestly, one, it's just nice to have doors up because before we didn't, and so this was only an emergency bathroom. If someone's in another bathroom, you got to go to this bathroom, and now you can use it whenever. So that's obviously very nice. When they were first on without the curtain, we were all like, this feels like you're in France. Like, it feels like the details are there, the like charm is there. The curtains, I think, are not like 100% my favorite. I'm like good with them, that they add, you know, privacy, but I'm like, should I have done a privacy film instead? Because I feel like the back is a little bit bulky. So if you have thoughts on that, please let me know in the comments and we could talk about it. I am very happy with the colors we went with. The pink on one side, the wood on the other side. It feels great. I didn't ruin the wood by painting it because it was already painted, and I just got to keep that beautiful smooth finish that it was before and change it to pink so it works with my house. On the wood side, my husband did a ton of sanding, and then I did a bunch of finish work to make it look nice, and I think it really warms up the bathroom and it adds so much charm. So I'm very happy with that. Anyway, I love the French doors. I hope you do too. Let me know what you think about them in the comments. Next week, we are going to do a very fun project where we move outside and we do something with my bathtub we took out of the bathroom. So if you're not already subscribed, you're going to want to. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. That's how I know to make more videos just like it.